Okay, so we're going to be learning about simplifying ratios. Remember, simplifying, you can use it in fractions as well. It's when you make it smaller in terms of number, but they're still equivalent. So let's have a look at a visual example. Remember to be pausing this video as you go along and taking notes. So Ben the painter needs 6 litres of dark purple. Okay, he uses 4 litres of red paint, which is shown here with our 4 tins here, and 2 litres of blue paint, which is shown here with our 2 litres of blue paint. Write the ratio of the number of red tins to number of blue tins in its simplest form. So first thing we have to do is write our ratio of red tins to blue tins. So red to blue, remember it comes in order of sentence. So red comes first and then blue. So it's red to blue. And how many have we got? We've got 4 red to 2 blue. Okay, so very similar to fractions, we have to now find if we can simplify this. So the first thing that's really helpful is, are they both even? If they're both even, you can halve them. Okay, another thing is if they're a multiple of 3 or a multiple of 5. So let's have a look at this one. We've got 4 to 2, they're both even, so we can divide both sides by 2. So if we divide both sides by 2, we're going to get 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. And that is our ratio simplified. So 4 to 2 can be simplified to 2 to 1. Okay, let's have another look at another example. Sarah has a number of white and black counters in a bag. Okay, so we've got a variety, it's more of a grey shade, but we've got black and white counters. Write the ratio of the number of black counters to the number of white counters. So black comes first and then white, and then we have to simplify it. So black to white, and then we've got 1, 2, 3 black, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 white. So we've got 3 to 9. Okay, then we have to have a look. What number goes into 3 and 9? So the 3 times table. So we have to do both sides. Remember, wherever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So 3 divided by 3 gives us a 1, and 9 divided by 3 gives us 3. So 3 to 9 in its simplest form would give you 1 to 3. Okay, let's go through these examples without having a look at an image. So simplify 25 to 30. So we've got 25 to 30. Now, what number goes into 25 and 30? Remember what I was saying? You've got the 2 times table, the 3, the 5 times table. So remember, 5 times table always ends in a 5 or a 0. So we can simplify this by dividing both sides by 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5, and 30 divided by 5 is 6. So 25 to 30 simplified in its simplest form is 5 to 6. 48 to 32. So we can divide both sides by 8, giving us our simplest form of it of 6 to 4. And finally, we've got it simplified further, where we can, because we divide it by 8, it's 6 to 4, but then we've divided it by 2 again because they're both even, so it ends up being 3 to 2. Now, another way that you could have done this one, I'll write it over here, is we've got 48 to 32. Okay, now if you're not too sure about going straight to the 8, remember what I said, you can always, if they're both even, you can always divide both sides by 2. So if I divide both sides by 2, 48 divided by 2 is 24, and 32 divided by 2 is 16. Okay, they're still both even, so guess what? I can still divide them by 2 on both sides. So 24 divided by 2 is 12, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. And then we have a look again. They are still both even. So now I can still divide them both by 2. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And guess what? They're still even. So we can still break it down further. We can divide them both sides again by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So see, we end up with the same answer. We just take a few more steps. And if you need to take these few more steps, please do, okay? It does help sometimes to see how it breaking down slowly. Now let's look at example 3. We have 75p to £1.25. Okay, so 75p to £1.25. Now the first thing I would suggest doing is to change the units. Okay, so I would change the units into the same, so it makes it a bit easier. So 75p to 125p. Remember, when you remove that decimal point from the money, it transforms it into p. So 75p to 125p. Now to simplify this, you can divide both sides by 25, which gives you 3p to 5p. Okay, or what you could do is split it up. They both end in the number 5. You can divide both sides by 5 and then keep going until you end up with an answer in its simplest form where you can't divide it any further. And I'll pause this video and have a go at these questions. So simplifying them, remember, so finding what's common, a highest common factor in your numbers and dividing it and getting it in its simplest form. Right, so let's have a look at those answers. So for question 1a, it was simplified 2 to 7, so you could divide both sides by 3. Next one, 2 to 3. Next one, 1 to 4, 3 to 4, 5 to 8 to 7. And then question 2, we had to convert our units first, so we would end up with 4 to 1, 4 to 7, 5 to 2, 3 to 2. Question 3 was for these two. Question 4, 13 to 3. Question 5, 1 to 200. And question 6, 200 to 33. Now let's have a look at these examples. Finding the missing number. So we're given a ratio already in its simplest form, but then we're asked, how do we get from 12 to 7 to 36 to our missing number? So first we have to find out 12 times by what gives me 36. Another way of doing it is doing 36 divided by 12. And if you do 36 divided by 12, you'll find out what you're multiplying by. So 36 divided by 12 is going to be 3, so that you know that 12 times 3 gives you 36. So whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So 7 times by 3 gives you an answer of 21. Now, let's on to example 5. The ratio of men to women in a sports club is 7 to 11. There are 175 men. How many women are there? Now, we know that's men to women. It's told us that the ratio in its simplest form is 7 to 11, but then it's told us that there are 175 men. So now we have to find out, how do we get from 7 to 175? Remember what I said, we do 175 divided by 7, okay, which gives you an answer of 25. And then you just multiply it. So 7 times 25 gives you 175. So now we have to do 11 times by 25, which gives us an answer of 275. And finally, a map has a scale of 1 to 20,000. What distance does 8 kilometers on the map represent in the map? Okay, so map to real life, so a map scale. So a map, if you notice, a map is a lot smaller than if we were to look at the actual real scale of it. So we've got the map compared to the real life of the, let's say, the road or the area you're in. It's on a scale of 1 to 20,000, and we need to find out what 8 kilometers represents. Now what they've done here is they've changed it into centimeters, so kilometers into centimeters. So how do we get from 20,000 to 80,000? Sorry, 800,000, we multiply by 40. So what we do to one side, we do to the other, which is 40 centimeters. Now pause this video and have a look at these questions. Right, let's go through these answers. So 1A was 9 to 6, B was 56 to 96, C was 60 to 44, D was 78 to 84, and E was 27 to 45 to 63. This one, so you have to do, what you have to multiply 5 by to get to 45, you multiply it by 9, so then you have to do 3 times by 9 and then 7 times by 9 to give you that answer. Question 2 was 40 women. Question 3 was 64 teachers. Question 4, 100 grams of sugar. Question 5, Lucy was 72 pounds and Alex was 120 pounds. Question 6, 0.6 kilometers. And question 7, 25 centimeters.